Perfect. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Hope everyone enjoys their day. Watch a little preparation, and then go out and enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day. So, at least where I am, it is. Let's take a look at what we got going on so far this week on the equities. So it looks like we've got ourselves a little doji at the top of a move. Those are dangerous candles because they can signal the beginning of a reversal or a continuation, and it's unknown. All right, and that's my definition what the doji is. We did reach supply right here, and you should get some kind of reaction. The question is, are we breaking down, back to 2,700? I think that's actually my preferred scenario this week. That we get a little back test, one more down here before we do, all-time new highs out of the ES. Now, we know we've already made new highs in the NASDAQ, so a little pullback is due. That's fine. And I think that's probably what we're looking at over here, because as we start to look through some of the time frames, you'll see we've actually flipped trend around and starting to clean out some demand underneath while making lower highs. So I think we were due for a little pullback over here. We had a really nice run, going back almost to April. When we look at the daily chart over here, a series of higher lows and higher highs, right? And I think we've got close to some pretty decent supply up here at 2,800. We didn't actually tag 2,800 just yet. We got pretty close. We got into the supply that was over here, and now we're getting a little pullback. So I think we're actually going to do something like this. Not that far, obviously. My line got a little extended over there, so let's go and fix that up here. Erase. We're looking at, I think, something like a pullback into 2,700, which is actually below the level, that I've got demand on the daily, but it's more, something like this trend line check over here. If you look back on the weekly chart, we're looking at this level here. This line right here, that's 2,700. You can see that right there, right? So, a pullback through this first demand zone, maybe a base there a little bit, and then just a back test to like right around 2,700. It looks like the 50 moving average, over here someplace on the daily chart, and then we'll get the next shoot out of that sector for, new all-time highs next. So right now, the trend is still up on the daily. The trend on the 240, if you're counting wicks, is lower, but if you're not, it's really still looking up. Take a look at the 60. That one is already turned over, I believe. So let's blow up the 60 chart and take a look. And here's our little lower high, lower low business going on over here. Again, it's a question of wicks. There's the lower highs over here, right? There's the low. Who's got underneath us? We hit the demand pretty cleanly right in here, and then we shoot out, but we're still having lower lows, and then we get the reversal at the end of the day. So I think we're probably going to bust down out of here. 2,700 level is something over here in this range, something down here. So there's some minor support along the way, but I think we're going to start cutting through these zones over here. And if you look at it good, this area over here is just garbage. The reason we've been marking them up is because we keep touching and making higher highs. But once the selling really starts, this crap over here won't hold at all. It's all junk. It's going to go right to something like this. And this area, 2,730, we get a small back test, and then we hit 2,700. So I think we're going to see some selling this week on the equities. It looks to me, at least, that we should be looking for pullbacks. We can already start getting short based on what I'm seeing on the the small time frame charts. Rallying to supplies are going to be shorts for now. And once we get down to 2,700, we have to look for for the selling to end, and then the beginning of the next rally up. All right, so that weakness is not translating just yet onto the Nasdaq. Right, the Nasdaq made a new all-time high. It actually closed at a new all-time high on the weekly chart. So when you start to look at the candles themselves, they don't look that great over here. We had a pretty decent, engulfing candle on the daily chart, but we got no continuation on Friday. Look at that candle. What happened? Right? So, we got this nice little selling over here. There's air on the 240. Take a look. There's really no demand there until we get all the way down to 7180, So there's going to be some selling. I think we're looking at a back test, something maybe even to over here. Around 7,000, I would think, is what we're looking at potentially for, for the for the NASDAQ. I mean, this level, I'm pretty sure we're going to see this 7180, 7100, something in that range is where, we're looking at. 7100 is this little wick on the daily. It's not even a big pullback. It's nothing. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see some selling this week. And this one doesn't have a downtrend yet that we can actually start getting short. Let's take a look at the 60 chart. You can see that, it made a lower high, but it never really made the lower low yet, right? I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is an all-time high up here, right, on the 60. And there's the lower high right here. We've sort of sold off a little bit right here, right? And we tried to get back up in there, and then we break down underneath. So we've got the lower low. I'm sorry, this is like a drop-based drop. So there's the, the lower high is here, but the lower low is not here just yet, okay? And that's still going to come. So the NASDAQ is not ready as far as if I'm going to take a short, it's going to be on the S more than the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the 15, what the levels are looking like. So this little level of demand already got hit, and we're coming back to it. So I'm just going to take that one off the chart. That's probably nothing anyway. It's more like an intraday type of a level. Got hit on Friday, and this one has got some kind of resistance in there, but you can see that the 15 is already looking like the trend has flipped over here at least. So, back down to this level underneath the 72.45, you can see there's total air all the way down to like 7,200, 7,220. So there's going to be some selling pressure over here. If I'm going to short one, it's ES. It's looking much weaker. So that's what we're looking at for equities so far. And let me just clean this up and take some questions for anybody who has questions. Let's take a look and go. Anybody have a question? Go ahead, raise your hand. Otherwise, we're going to go into crude, which had a wicked week this week. No button to ask questions. You said the same problem last time, Malik. It's on. So I don't know what's going on with you, man. I'll try it again, but I know that it's on. Try that. Is that helping you? Okay, so I turned it on and off again, so if that should help you, but okay. If you have a question, raise your hand. Next. Scott, Joe, where are you? Oh, yeah, so I moved out to the beach house for the summer. I'm now at the Jersey Shore, actually. I am a couple of feet away from the sand, sitting at the beach house. Okay. Crude. Let's take a look. So, what happened on Friday, wicked sell-off. This is all OPEC related right now. There's an OPEC meeting this week, towards the end of the week. We're going to get announcements. So they're talking about potentially, adding back some production from the cuts that they had instituted. And that's pretty much what this ridiculous sell-off on Friday was. Clearly just total selling pressure, liquidation. It was a bear flag, and it played as a breakout to the downside. It's breaking down. We landed in fresh demand down here on the 240, and that sort of stopped the bleeding for now. Let's take a look over here on the weekly chart. We traded outside of the channel that we were in, right, last week, and then we came back in. This was a big green candle until Friday. We were always almost at the top, the whole thing. I mean, you could tell, because if you look at the daily chart, you see that, on Thursday, we were at the top of the weekly, which means this was a green candle all the way at the top up here, and it ends up turning into almost an engulfing candle, where it got all the way down and turned red. So that's pretty bearish. You could see there's actually still room underneath here to get down into 62. Which is possible. Apparently, can't rule that out right now. We won't know until we start to see a bottom forming on some of the other time frames. So right now, clearly no bottom here. This is just a straight move down right into the last demand zone we have. Let's look at what's underneath that. So the next level down is actually around looks like 63, and then it's a small little blip. You could see it here on the 240 down in the corner, and then it's a shot right down to 62. So this this thing, which we're looking at here, is a 63 and change, and then 62 is right after that. So there is, let's take a look. Can we figure this out? Well, yeah, sure we can. Looks like a bear flag, right? Let's take a measurement and see if we're done with this move down. So here we go. Right? Here's the staff, starts over here, comes down into this area, basically. Make it a little, that's not the beginning of the staff. Let's fix that up. It goes up to here. This whole area here is the staff of our flag. And then we're breaking down out of the flag over here. So if we break down from there, that puts us pretty much right at 63. So we're not done yet, at least in the measured move of the staff flag breakdown. Right? We should be pushing down a little bit more. There's the staff, and that would put us right into 63 if they're based on the measured move of the flag that we're looking at over here. Right? This is the flag area. And breaking down, that puts us, looks like right at 63.20. So there's probably about another $1 to the downside before we start to see a bottoming pattern over here. So we have to stay short crude at this point, and then watch for the reversal over there. I think this is going to be one of those, sell the rumor, buy the news type of thing. Where they're going to start to talk about, the production increases, and price is going to tank, and then after they finally make their announcement of a cutback, maybe not as big as they expected, or whatever it is, increase of production, we're going to start to bounce out of here. I still think we're going to go through this back into the channel up here in the weekly chart, and we're looking at, I think, inside, a month's time or so back, toward the top of this sucker. So I think we're going to see higher prices for crude into the summer, and we should expect that this week I think selling pressure is here, and we're going to have to find shorts until we bottom out. So let's take a look at the 60. We're coming into some new demand under there. Drop base drop, and that's just the lows that we have on the 240 chart. We just looked at the levels on the 240. There's the 63 and change. It's this 63.20. That one looks pretty good also. Let's take a look over here, this area, right, 63.20, 63. That's the measured move of the staff breakout. Should get us right into that. And then after that, we're coming into, 62. So there's 100 ticks. I think 62 is probably the level that we're going to try to bottom out on. As you can see over here, this thing is in a downtrend currently with lower highs and lower lows. So shorts it is, okay? So where are those shorts? Let's go take a look. Shorts until we get, I think, until down at least 63.20, and then if we don't hold that level, we're going to have to look down again into 62. So over here on the 60, there's a level that we created at 65 and change right up here, quite a ways away from where we are currently. And we'll see on the smaller time frames. Do we have something? I believe we do. I think we hit it on Friday. Yeah, we did. Okay, so we were looking at this failed hammer on Friday. That's the area that broke down over here. There's no more supply here. You could see on the 15, there's absolutely nothing. It's just straight down, makes a new low. So, that's the level we're going to have to short. It has to wait for it to come back up there. Because we made a new low, we're allowed to take the level again. And right now, that's the only level I see here, unless we develop some other supply along the way. So it's short crude down into 63.20. That's the call for this week currently. Okay. If you have a question, looks like someone has a question. Wait. Kicked you out of the queue by mistake instead of answering your question, so you can raise your hand again. I'll call you. Sorry about that. Yeah. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Joe.
Happy Father's Day.
How are you?
Good. Good. Is it Father's Day in Canada today, or no?
Yeah, it's Happy Father's Day here as well. Thanks. Happy Father's Day to you as well. Yeah, same thing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, what's up?
Quick question. Can you go back to ES240? Sorry, I had that problem, so I just couldn't ask the question at that point.
Yeah, no problem. Cool.
You were looking at a bunch of, no, I think it was 240.
Here we go, yeah, that's...
Yeah, you called that area junk with all the, demand zone. I just wanted to understand the rationale behind it.
Yeah, because you see that what I'm calling it junk is because the pullbacks are very shallow, and the first level gets hit and just pushes up, and not really strong moves. So they're like stair stepping into each other. Right? I wasn't calling it. I think on this 60 that I was referring to the junk. So let me just go back there and show you why I'm saying that. When you look at those candles that are small and they all touch, every zone touches the zone, before it, and they're stair stepping themselves their way into the thing. That's why I'm referring to junk, because when the selling starts, those type of levels never hold. Okay. The stuff that's going to hold is the fresh stuff. Like over here, this is what I was talking to. This whole bunch of crap over here. This is the junk that I'm referring to. Why? If you look back, right, that every level is sort of touching the prior level, right? You see? Over here. So everything is not fresh, and the moves are not very big. You see how the candles are all little small candles? There's none of these big, giant ERCs like we're talking about over here, right? Or over here, right? So that's why I'm referring to junk. You see those little stair step, stair step, stair step? When the real selling starts, we slice through that shit. It never stops there. Okay?
So my question is, why do you have them on the chart then? It's because
it's a great question, and I thought I answered that. I'm sorry. If I wasn't clear why it's there, it's because until the selling starts, the real selling, those levels freaking worked. If you look here, look, every time we touched the level, we made new highs. So until the real selling starts, you have to keep it there because that's, you know what? If you're trying to join the trend sometimes, that's all you're going to get, a little shitty pullback into a crappy looking zone like this, and that's all you're going to get, the only opportunity to get long. So they're on the chart until the selling really starts. That's what they're there for. Join the longs until until we start really selling off. So that's why they're there. But once the selling pressure starts, just ignore them. They're not. It's not stopping there. Okay?
And I'm assuming that you would never place a limit order there, but yet you will observe them.
That's right. That's true. I will not place any limit orders here. I'm watching them turn. When we get to something like this, now you're talking about something I would be interested in putting a limit order down here. Right? Nice looking, strong, fresh. Big move in, big move out. When you look at these shitty little zones over here, that's, you want to trade them. Sometimes that's the only pullback you're going to get with an opportunity to join the longs. But when the real selling starts, you're not putting any orders in those zones at all. They're barely even targets on the way down. You should expect that some bigger time frame will stop price, not this little crap. Okay?
Understood.
Good?
Super. Thanks a lot.
No problem. You got it, man. Next. Who's next? Ryan. What's up, brother? Hey, Ryan. How you doing, man?
Hey, Joe. So on crude,
let's go back to
20 level is not going to be a set and forget anymore because of the move on Friday?
So the measured move puts us right into that 63.20. We could technically do that, you know what I'm saying? Because if the flag breakout that we're measuring is landing right in that zone. So you want to get long over there, I would totally understand that 63.20 as a long entry. I would probably prefer that the stop has to go somewhere under 63. Like I would draw the zone a little different. Maybe now that I've looked at the 60, I would say we want to do something like this, right? This is where I'm going to put the distal line at the bottom of this leg in, and I would put the proximal probably somewhere right over here. And you're looking at 63.30 to 63, somewhere in here. Get your stop underneath the zone. You can set and forget that. You'll definitely get your risk off on a trade like that. It's not slicing through that zone. If I pull a little more candles on the chart, you'll see that there was really a pretty decent level there. There was supply on the other side, right? It was the middle of this little double bottom action. It's the breakout area. There will be a reaction from this zone. So enough to get risk of T1 off for sure. I don't have a problem forgetting something like this. It may not hold after that. I don't know. You know what I mean? It may want to get to 62. There's no way to know that at this point. But this is worth trading. Look how far outside the bands we are, right? Outside all the moving averages, and it's the measured move of the flag breakout. I mean, that's got a lot going for it. It's a demand zone that's really strong. Look at the leg out. Look at the leg in. I mean, this has got a nice bounce written on it. So I don't have a problem if you want to set and forget inside that zone.
And would it be more ideal to have the move shoot into it, or if it just kind of chopped down into it slowly?
Yeah, no, it's probably better if it just drops right into that zone. I don't know that it will, though, just because we looked at some demand that we're arriving into on this 60 chart over here. You might get one more base in the way over here. Take a look at this thing, right? This like 62, 64 price area that we're looking at. So we might get a little basing along the way, but when we're talking about the higher time frame move that we're looking at on the 240, these little things, these zones over here, they just create supply. That's what's going to happen. Just like this zone over here that we saw on this, around 65 on the 60, it based around, it gave us a couple of green candles, but at the end of the day, it turned into a supply zone, and that's probably what's going to happen here until we hit that 63 zone. That's the end of the move, I think. We'll get a pretty good bounce, and then it's up to the OPEC news to see where we go after that, So I don't have a problem with you taking a set forget, even if it bases along the way down into here. Let me just pull up this chart a little bit so you see what I'm talking about, right? So there's a little bit here, there's a little bit here, but there's still a lot of air when we get down to the 63 number. Look where it is, So a little base here, a little base here, still room to get risk off. No problem taking longs down here. It makes sense, okay?
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
No problem. Okay. All right, let's move on. If anyone else has a question, go ahead. Okay, and that's our crude story for this week. Be careful towards the end of the week. Gold. This one took me by surprise totally on Friday. I was like, what the fuck happened to gold? So anyway, it clearly has engulfed the weekly candles over here. It's breaking down. Is it at the end of the line? I'm pretty sure we're going to get a bounce out of this thing. The question is it going to create a lower high or not? The daily chart actually just confirmed the downtrend again. Basically, we flagged and we broke down, right? So it was a lower high, lower low situation going on over here, right? There's the lower lows, and then we sort of rallied a little bit over here, and we couldn't get through this level over here, this little gap that was on the daily. And we wicked into that thing, and then just Friday just happened, just boom. I just will say one thing for the longs. Gold is notorious for doing shit like this right before a massive move in the opposite direction. That's what it does. That's the way it trades. So I'm very skeptical about the move down, very skeptical. I think it's a washout. I think we're going to start to turn around. And the way we're going to know is when we watch the little reversals occur on the smaller time frames. So I'm watching this thing like a hawk to get back into a long swing. There is so much freaking air. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Pepe. They just washed everybody out. Everybody gives up on their longs, and that's the end of it. And then it starts to rally. So it actually set up pretty nicely for the V reversal look. It just never started just yet. We can take a look here on the 60. Obviously just a ton of air above where we're trading at currently, right? The move is actually in an uptrend. This whole move down never created a lower high if you look at the 60. So technically speaking, based on higher highs, higher lows, this is one move down off the high, and this is an uptrend. And that sort of, should get your antennas up, thinking, okay, wait, this is going to reverse because this is an opposite trend move, right? So if we look down over here on the 60, we had a little bounce engulfing, and then we get the little end of the day little red candle. What we're looking at over here is pretty clear to me. We have a little double bottom on the 15. The supply that we have to beat to create the beginning of the V reversal is right here. Okay, we have to pop into that, sell off, make a higher low, and that's where we're going to start to call for the V. Okay, and after that, we're talking about creating a reversal all the way up and taking out the highs. So I would like to be long. I will start a long position once we've hit supply down here, right, and then pulled back and created a higher low. As long as this low holds over here, it is demand on the 240. Right, we did hit that level. Once I know that this bottom is going to hold under here, I'm getting long. Okay, so I'm not in it right now. I got stopped out on Friday, and I will look for the entry into the long once this level starts to show itself. Do I want to be short? No. Why? Because the trend on the 60 is still up. Okay, so until we get a lower high on the 60, right, should we rally up, right, and make a lower high, which we've done so far, right? If we break the bottom, this bottom down here breaks, then we have to stop calling for longs. But for current now, if we just push back and hold the lows, I'm looking for this to what I think is actually going to happen. So keep your eye on that. It's going to be a pretty nice long, because if we do bottom out over here, this is the end of the stop outs of all the longs that were here, that were holding 1300 as their bottom. They got wiped out, and now we can rally all the way through the top. Okay, there's no more anything good supply. The supply over here, even if you look at it, it looks like shit. There's no supply here. And look how much air is in between the zones over here on the 15, right? It's the one zone that I'm concerned about. There's a little blip maybe slightly above it at 90-something, but that's about it. Once we clear this mess out of here, time to go long. Yeah, potentially target on the move. New highs for the year is 1370 plus is the target. Okay, let's go back to the higher time frame for a second. Here. So, if we're looking at the weekly chart, okay, assuming that I'm correct, and we end up reversing this engulfing candle, so that what we did was, if you remember, I was talking about this a couple of weeks back, we cleaned out the supply just now with this move. So if we don't break down any further, we turn this around and we reverse this engulfer, we turn it into twins, is what I think is actually going to happen this week. We'll find out if I'm right. But if I am right, the next level is somewhere above the highs. Look at the weekly chart. There's no more supply. It's all air. So we're talking about supply up here around 1370. That's the target for this trade. All right. So keep your eyes. It's going to be a big one. Okay. Question from Bhavesh. Yes, my friend. What's up?
Hey, Joe.
Bhavesh? Yep.
Yes. Hey, if you go back to 60-minute chart, so one thing I was questioning was I'm sorry, 15 and 60 together. So on 15-minute, that supplies on around 1287. So once the price hits that zone, do you anticipate 60-minute lower high or higher low on 15-minute?
This is what we're looking at over here right now. So look what's going on here. All right, the price is here. Look at 1280. On the 60, that's these two candles right here. And if we have to get up here, that means that this is going to be a base, and we're going to push into this next level, which is over here. Right? So it should go like this. And we should see a pullback, a higher low, and a turnaround. If we get that, that's the V reversal.
But it could be also viewed as lower high on 60-minute, and it could just push down.
No, it can't be a lower high unless it breaks. If it doesn't break the bottom, it can't be a lower high. It has to break the bottom.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that statement.
If it does, it might. That's what I'm saying. I'm not taking the long until after we hold the bottom. That's what I said, right?
Okay. So you wait for the bottom on 15.
It sells off. Yeah, you got to wait to make sure that when it sells off, it starts turning around, and it doesn't break the bottom. Because if it does break the bottom, you're right. This is a lower high, and I said after that you can't go long anymore. Okay. The only way the long is going to work is if this is the bottom.
So you wait for reversal on 15.
Absolutely. Wait for the pullback. Wait for a higher low on the 15, and then you start your longs.
Okay, thanks.
Good? Okay. Good. Okay. Next. All right. Let's look at the euro. Well, the dollar, we know had a ridiculous move on Friday again. Let's take a look there. So, oops, I'm going to switch my pen. There we go. Dollar. Okay, so we had this pullback. Massive engulfing move on Thursday, huge, wipes out like 2 weeks worth of trading, and then it doji's out at the top again on Friday. Starting to pull back a little bit over here. So let me just get rid of some of these zones that we traded through on the 240. This was traded through, this was traded through. The other one we barely got up there, but you could see that we created a doji at the top of the move. Again, dangerous candles. Those are candles that can signify the end of the move. If we start trading below, which is what I expect is actually going to happen. Over here, you can see we've already looked like we put in a lower high on the smaller time frame. I'll show it to you. And look at all the air. This is a V top that we're watching over here. Okay, at least that's what it seems like to me. That we should be selling off on the dollar over here. Okay, and at least getting down somewhere lower down than this. So let's go take a look at the euro because I think the long for the euro this week is going to start out pretty nice. There's our big sell-off, the euro. There's the bottom starting to hold, right? There's the doji at the bottom of the move, right? Those can signify those evening star candles if we start to get a hold of the level. We'll take a look at the 240. We landed right inside the demand zone, this doji level back over here on Friday. Right over here, right? There's the demand, that doji level right there. We tag it, we engulf, and then we push back, and we create a higher low. You could actually see it. This doji candle over here made a higher low, didn't break the bottom, and start to rally again. So when we go down to the small time frames, that's going to look like a bottom is here, which means V reversal again. So let's take a look over here. Okay, this move on the 60 was also counter trend, straight down. The rally was we were in an uptrend on the 60 chart, right? And we just get to new highs. ECB news. This is all a news candle. This whole bullshit. News candle get retraced. We know that too. And it was just one move down. So we wiped out all the longs. Same story. Everybody gets stopped out of their longs. Then the real move starts. Well, same story. Here is the supply zone. We've sort of getting up into there. I don't think we've really hit it yet. It's sort of like doji double level. I would like to get into that. I want to see a pullback and a higher low. Then we're going to trade this air over here. Right? So I'm expecting that level to actually hold. The demand that we're talking about, this level, expect it to hold. I expect we're going to hit this and push back, make a higher low. Once the higher low is on the chart, it's time to go long euro again. We're going to retrace this whole air thing. Okay? Take a look on the 15. What are we looking at? Well, there's the bottom sort of being confirmed so far. Right? On the lower time frame, at least, there's our low, and then we rallied up. We hit some supply over here. You could see that. We pushed back with this wick. We hold the bottom, and then we start channeling. So there is these little bit of the supply zones over here that we're coming into. That's the, the doji level I'm talking about on the 60. This needs to be wiped out of the way before I'm willing to start going long yet. We are in an uptrend still, so the sell-off is, counter trend, this big move. So I would like to be long. I expect a V reversal. I just need to see it start. So I want to see a rally here. I want to see a pullback. I want to see a hold. It's probably going to be around 117 of where the hold is going to come. Once it comes on the chart, that's when we're going to start our long trades. The retracement for this thing is through the top. The target is 1.2. So something huge, like 1,000 ticks. Sounds crazy, right? From 1.7 to 1.2. That's 3,000 ticks. 3,000 is not 3,000 ticks. 3,000 points. So that is 600 ticks. Okay, something huge. $3,600 a contract, even more, $4,000 a contract. So watch this thing. Okay, the minute this level gets cleared out of the way and we get a higher low, time to go long euro. Okay. So those are a couple of really nice trades so far for this week. We each have to wait for a little bit of patience. The long gold, the long euro are ones that I'm looking for this week. Hey, George, what's up? Happy Father's Day. What's going on, man?
Hey, Joe. I still stumble on determining where that higher low and higher high are. And
okay,
the
so
trend
they're not
numbers.
on the chart yet. So I'm trying to get you on there. I'm trying to tell you where I'm expecting it. It's not there yet, right?
Well, no, but you said it was still an uptrend.
Oh, yeah, we're in an uptrend. This is one sell. We'll look over here. Okay, the 60 was in an uptrend over here, right? Look here. And then we just sell off straight, one directional move. So that's just a counter trend move. There's no lower highs here. If the trend, in order for the trend to turn over, we would have to sell off, rally, make a lower high, right? Something like that. And then we could say, okay, I'm in a downtrend. But when I just sell off straight, one directional, off an uptrend, that's a counter trend move.
And that's not a lower low at the bottom with a lower high after it.
Where's the lower high? No, well, okay, there's your mistake. In order for trend to turn, I have to have a lower high before I have a lower low. I have to have it first. So yes, is this low a new low relative to the prior low? Absolutely. But that won't change trend. Trend can only change when I have a lower high first, then a lower low.
Okay.
Let's go back to gold for a minute to reiterate the point, because I want you to make that, because it's very important to understand. It's a mistake that a lot of people make, and it's a huge mistake. So I need you to make sure you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to switch back to gold just to clarify, okay? Take a look at this chart for a second, okay? Again, this is an uptrend, okay? Uptrend, up into the highs. The sell-off is one directional, boom, 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 boom. There is no lower high here. This is all straight down. This here has potential to become a lower high if we break the bottom. Then this will be a lower high. And then the trend will turn over into a downtrend. But the fact that this low over here is lower than all these lows is irrelevant to trend until we have a lower high. And then a lower low. Then trend can reverse. Is that clear?
Oh, okay.
Okay, because watch this. This is what it looks like. Uptrend, 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 and then we do this. That doesn't change trend. That's all one directional counter trend. And then we do this. Right here, when we break the low, that's when trend changes. We'll have a lower high, then a lower low. That's trend change.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Next. All right. All right, so that was crude, that was gold, that was euro. Let's look at nat gas. So this one kicked my ass this past week. Totally took me by surprise. I was expecting this thing to break down over here, right? We looked at this ugly reversal last Sunday, if you remember, right? Over here with a, engulfing reversal, morning star candle, looking like this is ready to bust down. And instead, not only do we negate it, we actually break through the highs, and we break up into the air. Take a look over here on the 240 chart. That gas is breaking out at this point. It's totally rejecting the low sell-off. It's time to think longs. So that one just really totally blew my mind. Unexpected whatsoever. We're in the 240 air all the way up to another 120-something ticks before we're looking at a supply zone. I mean, this is just clean air. A pullback into demand. You can see we based over here. We sold off a bunch of times. We never were able to break below the 2.8 level, and that was it. We just shot out of the top. Expect a small pullback and a new long coming over here. That's what nat gas is looking like over here, and a level of 3.2 for the next supply zone. Right. So here's the demand we're looking at on this 60. There's a very nice looking demand zone. You can see it's the breakout area over here. Right, and we're banging up into some supply. So somewhere around 2.9, a little bit under 3 is where we're going to find the level for the longs for nat gas. Okay, and the level, our target is around 3.2. Okay, if that's Eddie that just joined, welcome. I've been wanting, I meant to call you, Ed. I hope you're feeling all right, man. I haven't heard from you in a while, so welcome aboard. Nat gas over here. Right here, this is the level, 2.990, okay? That's where we're looking to join longs over here. That's the demand zone, and you can see where it's new highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher low, higher highs. There we go, bang, okay? That's what we're looking for. All right, longs on nat gas. Let's take a look at the yen. And what do we get on the weekly? Well, we got a rejection of the highs 3 weeks ago. Then we get a little doji candle looking like we may reject the lows, but then we engulf. I mean, this thing is just can't make up its mind where it wants to go. Being that I'm looking for a little bit of a sell-off in the equities, I think we're actually going to see a little bit of a rally here. Looking into something like this, into this supply zone at least on the daily. We ended up holding the bottom over here with a pair of twins. On the 240, we filled the rollover gap that's got filled, and now let's say we should be looking back for, I think, a little bit of a rally coming on yen. Let's take a look on the lower time frame, what that looks like for us. There's our 60 chart. So we hit supply. Again, the trend over here looks to be actually down. This is a rollover, little push up over here, right? This whole thing, when you look at the, let's call it the non-adjusted contract, this whole price action is actually down here someplace, right? So this high is actually inside this supply zone over here. So it's still in a downtrend. It is holding the bottom. I think it looks like it's starting to hold the bottom at least. So I don't really love the yen trade just yet. Nothing I'm really excited about. I think we've seen some better setups, much better on the euro and stuff. So I'm just going to leave this one alone for now and just point out some levels that I've drawn out. There we go. So it's a little bit of on the 15. You can see that the trend is actually down, right? And looking like we're looking for some kind of bottoming pattern to form somewhere around the 908 over here someplace. If you're interested in trading yen, those are some levels, but I like other trades much better than that. Okay, let's take a look at Aussie. This one also kicked my butt because of the expectations on the long side. It didn't happen because, again, gold and Aussie trade pretty similar to each other. So we ended up with this big reversal candle. Okay, the trend was actually up on the daily chart. And this is a counter trend move into a back test. I think this is, again, the same idea. We're washing out some of the bigger time frame longs. I'm expecting us to really get back up here, watching this for the V reversal again. As far as the 240 chart is concerned, we did flip trend on the 240. So we have to be a little careful down here watching the reversal happen. There is fresh demand underneath us, most likely going to touch it at this point. Actually, there's another supply zone over here. I didn't put on the Friday. I don't know why I didn't. I just didn't. But right here, looks supply right here. Let's pick up a little gap in there. There we go. Supply over there, a ton of air over here. So this is going to look like a V reversal at some point this week. Probably we have to watch it develop. expect the demand here to get hit, and then the rally, then the pullback higher low, and then we can do this. So it's a while from now before that starts. Let me just switch over to the smaller time frames, and then I'll take your question, George. Okay, the 60s in a downtrend. So that being said, you have to continue shorting. We are arriving into demand. You have to sell the the supply zones until it starts to bottom out. Okay, which it has not been doing obviously over the last couple of days. We are arriving at a couple levels of demand under here. Let's see what they look like. Yeah, so this is the demand sitting under. We're getting pretty close at this point. Which one of these is going to get us turned around? It's probably 7,400. Once we're that close to 7,400, you have to assume that the round number is going to get tagged. So somewhere down there, we should start to look for the bottom to form. Okay. Until then, we could keep selling short till we get down there. George, you have a question?
Joe, on the higher time frame of the AD, I was confused. I saw those two gaps, and I didn't know if I should include both. You tended to pick the lower.
Let me take a look. On the lower gaps up, gap down, where are you looking? What time
yeah, on the 240.
240. Let's take a look what you're looking at. Okay. Oh, the little gap, you're saying this little thing over here, this thing that I just talked about over here?
Right,
yeah.
right, yeah.
And this one, and then this one over here? Yeah.
No, well, the one above, yes. Above 75, 74.
Oh, this one over here. This one, there's another one right above the other one. I see it, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, you usually want, if you have a zone there, you want to throw that into your zone, absolutely. It's usually, what's going on there is that, you're getting a gap open. And then the back test, let's say the between 6 p.m. price will gap down a little bit, and then you're getting these wicks into the zone, so it looks like this, where you have a little gap area, and then you wick into it and pulls back. So they are part of supply, absolutely. Definitely want to include them. Okay.
Okay, but 75, 75.
So that one over there is just because I'm drawing this as the zone where we are. So yeah, up here, if you want to make it bigger. Include this one if you're drawing another zone up there. I probably have that on the 60 chart. We'll go look up there, 75, 80 or something like what you're talking about, right? I'm pretty sure it's the 60 level. We'll go take a look. Yep, there it is. 75, 80, it's right there.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so that's the supply zone, okay?
Great, thank you.
No problem. Okay, cool. That's our Aussie. Let's take a look at pounds. What are they up to? So on the weekly chart, we get a pair of dojis. Notice that we're sitting in between demand and supply for the last, looks like 4 weeks. Banging around between the levels. On the daily chart, we had a pretty decent pullback, and again, the higher low starting to form with that hammer candle. The move was, again, one move down, counter trend on the 240. We actually flipped into an uptrend, and then we shot up, hit supply, and just broke through the bottom. We hit demand, we get the engulfer, and we're basing. So this is actually going to rally, I believe, out of here. It looks like the bottom is actually formed already on a smaller time frame. Let's go take a look. Yep, there it starts. Okay, this is what you're looking for when I'm talking about the reversal for the other, the gold or the euro. This is what you want to see, right? It hits the demand zone, it rallies up, it hits the supply right here, right? Drop, base, drop, and it sells off right here, and then it holds the bottom. There you go, right here. See it? Okay, so now we have the higher low, and this is ready to go. That's it. Okay, so this should be a long, at least into this supply zone minimum. You have to make sure you're, you at this point, trend is actually up. All right. If we look, this is one move, one sell off the highs, counter trend move. Expect V reversals out of that stuff. That's what happens. Okay. It hits demand underneath because it was counter trend. The demand's going to work. Okay. It's going to do this. It'll give a little pullback again, and it'll get all the way through here and get through the top. Okay. So on the next move up, we're talking about new highs up here. That's what we're looking for. This seems to be starting right now. So there's the low. This is the level that has to hold now for this trade to work. Okay, the demand is here, and that's it. So longs on pounds at least till here. Take profits, expect a pullback, get in on the first higher low after that again, and then look for the top of the move. Okay. That's the pounds. Canadian, what do we got? All right, so this one at least I got right last week, right? Looking for an ugly ugly move down, and it does. It breaks down out of the range. It breaks out of the lows over here. It lands in some 240 demand under here, but again, now the trend is actually down on the 240 chart. We're breaking away. We have a very nice supply zone over here, so there's a definite short sitting right there. If we hit that sucker, I would be looking for shorts. We are reaching some weekly demand, but we're in a downtrend. So what does that do? It should create a back test. It should hit supply, and it should sell off. So that's the target right now. If you're in any kind of long, which I wouldn't be, but if you are counter trend, the target for an exit is right there. That is the short entry. That's what you're looking for. Expect a bounce into this area, get short. Okay. Why am I saying that? We'll take a look up here on the weekly chart. See all this freaking air? So we get a little back test, a little breakaway of the smaller time frame, and then we do this. That's what's coming. So a little back test into this, and then boom, we break through that sucker, and we end up somewhere down here. Okay, at 74,000. That is far from where we are. So the pounds are looking. The Canadian is looking like crap. And the fact that we're still looking for continued selling in oil this week because of what's going on, that's going to weigh on the Canadian as well. So yeah, I'm calling for shorts. Look for the little back test, get short. Okay, there's the 60 chart. That was our rollover gap up there. We back test or whatever. That's actually not rollover. That was a real gap, I think. If I'm not mistaken. And we back test into the gap, and we start selling off. Bang, 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 bang. We're in a downtrend. So any rally back into supply up here, 76,160 is supply. This is fantastic supply. If we get all the way up here to 76,550, I don't think we're going to see it. But if we do, shorts total. Okay, looking for shorts on the Canadian. All right, that's our Canadian. Let's look at this one. I like a lot as far as a trade for this week. Copper. So the back test came. We never really got an opportunity to get into the back test. If you remember, we were talking about last week, expecting a pullback and then the long to start. And I was looking for the long to come around 3.2. The level it got hit, but it channeled so slow down into that thing that it didn't really give it an opportunity to hold. And then it did the back test into the next zone, I'll show you in a second, at the 61.8 fib, which is really just a back test of this whole breakout area. This is a fantastic setup for a long. Right over here. Okay? We should expect that this is actually going to turn around from this level and start to rally out of this thing. So this is something that I'm very interested in getting into because the big move up and this sell-off has cleaned out all the supply. We start turning around over here. We create this higher low over here on the daily chart. The next stop is somewhere above the highs. So that's a huge, huge move for copper. Being that we're in an uptrend, I'm interested totally. Take a look over here. Let's see what we got over here. There's the demand zone. So look where we are. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a second and show you that this is actually all the prior highs and all that stuff. We've broken out. We back tested. Big sell-off right down. Look how much air is here. Plenty of room for profits. I'm looking for a long in copper. Okay, I'm going to find it together right now. Let me zoom out a second. Just show you some of the level that we've landed in. Take a look, okay? So you see how it was the whole bottom of this middle, the middle of this bottom breakout area, this whole area, and then we create the demand zone on the breakout right here, boom, okay? And then we back test into the zone. We start turning this around, oh boy, this is what we're looking at, okay? So right now, we're looking for longs on copper, okay? Let's go see where they are. We're in the zone already. Is it starting? Let's find out. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. It looks like a double tap on the demand zone on the 60. We'll take a look at it in a second. We had this demand on our chart from last week. It's this level right over here. It's the breakout. You can see it. The back test. Beautiful. We get in there. We shoot out, clean out some smaller time frame supply. We come back and we make a new low, but we hold the level. We never break down out of the zone. Okay, I'll show it to you on the 15. On this 15, this was a double bottom, and now I've got air. This is the first thing I have to worry about, just this little level, and then look how much room back to here. Oh boy, a whole lot of air. So there's long coppers over here. We want into this as soon as possible. Let's find there's our 15 chart. Okay, and we're looking at a really nice little double bottom so far. Okay, we've got a ton of air back to 317 and change. Okay, if we hold this zone. Again, it's an if. We don't know what it's going to open like tonight. We have to see. But at least here. Okay, take some profits over here. Expect that we get a little pullback to like this area over here. Create an inverted headed shoulders, get long again. back up to here. Well, that actually has to come off the chart, but that was the old demand zone. It's now supply actually with the doji right there. Get rid of that. Let's fix that. And that's what we're looking at, along at least back to 3.2. And if you're a bigger swing trader, expect that we're going to, make new highs eventually out of this move. So we're looking for longs. Okay, keep your eye on this level that we're hitting right now. If it does end up turning into a double bottom, get. Okay. Let's put this up here. Copper. There you go. Okay. And that's what we're looking at on the copper trade. This is one of the better ones. So there's a couple of really nice trades this week between the gold and the euro, looking for reversals, and then doing a V's. We're looking at a nat gas pull back into a long. I like that a lot. And this copper trade looks fantastic. Okay, or the Canadian short off the 240 supply zone, also really, really nice. Okay, let's take a look at soy. Wicked sell-off this week. Again, take a look at the weekly chart. This is the third week in a row that we've got a humongous ERC starting at the highs and closing at the lows. Take a look at this shit. This is craziness, right? We've sold off 150 plus over 3 weeks. Look at this on the daily chart. Boom. So that kind of ridiculous move, obviously, look at this. One little green candle over 3 weeks is going to create a violent bounce. Were we already at demand? Well, it looks to me like we are in demand. We've broken out of the wedge over here on the weekly, and then we came back in and broke through the bottom, which is normal. When you come back in, we don't continue and make new highs afterwards. It's likely you break out, which we did. We're now sitting on top of this demand. Actually, I should adjust this a little bit now. Let's pull this down, these bodies out. The zone is actually back here. This is the demand zone. You see the doji back here? That sucker? That's the demand right over here. We touched on the outside. We touched it again over here. This level is pretty good. We have not gotten into it too far just yet. So it's fresh demand. It's got a wicked move out. Okay, so we're stopping out probably somebody under here. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little deeper into it, and by the end of the week we're probably back to at least the bottom of the trend of the of the break, back testing into like 920, 930, something like that. So if you're short, I would be telling you it's time to take profits here. Expect the back test. Okay, the area to rejoin the shorts is over here on the daily chart. Okay, probably this level. We're looking on the 240. See when we broke out of the bottom over here, we created this supply zone. So that's probably where you're looking for the bounce to end, right? It's around the 940 something, it looks like, right around over there. Okay, so keep your eye on that. Longs, if you want to take, not until the lower time frames start to show us confirmed bottoms. Otherwise, wait for the supply zone to take the short. 60, here we go. This is the 240. We just looked at that. No, here we go. No, there's the two supplies. We got one at 938, it looks like, and one 948 or so. Okay, so we still have a little bit more room. That's what I'm talking about on the weekly chart, right? That we have a little more room left before we can start to bounce. I probably think we're going to see this a little bit under 9, and then we should expect a violent rally from that area. Okay, it's a counter trend move though, so if you're not a counter trend trader, don't trade the long. If you are, so something you might want to look at and expect to bounce out of that zone. So we have got demand underneath us. Another $20 down, looks like, or something like that, before we bounce. Maybe a little less, maybe 10, 15, something around under 9. Okay, that's soy. And let's look at the bonds, and then we're all going to go enjoy our Father's Day. Okay. So we do double bottom on the daily chart. We do start to, this is looking to me like we're going to see a little, rally back into this area. We still have that rollover gap that I'm looking for to get filled. That's the target on the long side currently. We are looking like we're trying to create an uptrend over here. Take a look over this on this 240. We rally up. We hit the supply. We've already back tested this demand zone, so we need a higher low over here to hold to get up into the gap area that I'm talking about. I think we're going to see it this week. See if we can take a look on the lower time frame if that's ready to hold just yet. Trend on the 60s up, no question about that right now. Looking good, pulling back, higher lows, higher highs. And yeah, so look at all the air. See, we've just gotten to the supply zone right before the gap area. So, we hold this zone. It looks really nice, by the way. Look at that tight little doji. We got to have the 50 average on the 60 chart right in there. So we pull back and hit this thing, and we start turning around again. I would tell you look for 146 or so. 146 is the target, right? Right around here. Gap fill long, okay? Around that for a nice looking trick. Longs into the gap. That is our bond analysis, and that's going to bring us to the end of our little Sunday session. If anyone has a question, please feel free. Otherwise, go enjoy the day. Pepe, what's up, man? Oh, there you are. You're there and you're gone. If you have a question, raise your hand, Pepe. Otherwise, go enjoy Father's Day, folks. All right, 5, last chance. 5, 4, 3, 2, enjoy. All right, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye.